So ambition, is it always good? Is it bad? Is there times when your ambition can be so tied to your work that you lose who you are and you actually become your work? Entrepreneurs, we're famous for that, or infamous, however you want to put it. And today we're going to explore, okay, so just how do you have that ambition, which is what made you successful, without it causing challenges down the road? And we have an expert in this, Dr. Angelica Perez-Litwin. And Angelica, it is a pleasure to have you on the Wealth Ability Show.
Thank you so much for having me, Tom.
So if you will, you wrote this book, The Great Unraveling, okay, a silent crisis of high achievers. Okay, this is really interesting to those of us who are high achievers. And tell us a little bit about your background. How did you come to write this?
Yes, of course. So I am a clinical psychologist. I've been a therapist for about 30 years, but over the past 20 years, I've been working primarily with high achievers. And what do I mean by that? Executives, entrepreneurs, founders, physicians, attorneys. These are people who are at the top of their game, and they have come to therapy because something is not feeling right. Something feels off. They have the big house, they have the nice car, they have the great spouse and healthy children, and something underneath is just not right. And so they come to me sometimes thinking they're burned out, they have anxiety, and something happened over the last 10 years that I started noticing a pattern that I felt very compelled to write about.
All right, so we're gonna delve into this, because I'm a huge fan of ambition. My goal is to be more ambitious 10 years from now than I am today. I think ambition is critical, actually, to success. And when you lose your ambition, which a lot of entrepreneurs do when they sell their business, they're like, now what do I do? And they're completely lost, because what happened to, where's my ambition now? Okay, so you're concerned that people get consumed with ambition. Why, and where am I off here? Because I think ambition is critical to actually mental health.
Yeah. So I want to correct that. The book is not about the book, and we're not anti-ambition. I think ambition is actually, like you said, extremely important. It gives people meaning and purpose. It makes things happen. It builds our capitalist society, right? Ambition is very good for people. The book, The Great Unraveling, is really about what happens when high achievement and work in general takes over your life. When everything about work centers around what you do and how much you achieve. And that there's this unraveling that happens. So I'm really talking about the other side of high achievement and ambition, when things don't feel right. And we can talk about what is that, what does it mean for it not to feel right? But I am totally for ambition. I think ambition is beautiful.
All right, so that's good. We're on the same page there.
Yes.
So is it a function of, or what's it a function of when it goes wrong? Is it because of the purpose, or a lack of purpose, or what that purpose was? Is it the fact of achieving as opposed to what you're achieving? What is it that you're seeing in your work that you're seeing that causes people to go off on that?
Yes. So this is what I have seen, the pattern that I have seen over the years. And I've done over 10,000 clinical hours and coaching hours. So I have a lot of clinical data. What I have seen is very highly accomplished individuals that come in feeling overwhelmed. They can't stop working. They can't stop thinking about work. They're very disengaged in their any sort of life outside of work. They develop this sort of nervous system activation. If they're not working, they feel unsafe. They feel anxious. They feel like something is going to fall apart, right? So the pattern that I saw is very multidimensional. It cuts across your emotions, your thoughts, your physical body. A lot of my patients come in and they have gut issues and headaches and back problems. They go to the doctor, nothing is wrong with you, right? And they keep overworking. They can't stop working. A lot of my patients hide in the closet or in the bathroom to go check emails when they're supposed to be on vacation because the entire family's like, just stop it. Like, just be here present with us. So they tend to be very disconnected. And the way they experience this is sort of very silently and very gradually. These are people that know something doesn't feel right. They're just not themselves anymore. They're so preoccupied with work and achievement and the next promotion and the next thing in the next post that they just can't enjoy what they have built. So ambition is great. Achievement is fantastic. If it feels right, if it feels like it's a good fit, if it feels like you can enjoy the rest of your life, not just work. So in this pattern that I was seeing, Tom, I call it career distress response. It's a psychological and a physiological response to having your identity tied to work and achievement. So I know you're trying to find what is the thing, the sort of architecture, the psychological architecture of career distress is typically that the identity and self-worth and emotional safety is tied to achievement and performance and titles and roles. And when that happens, that psychological sort of over attachment to achievement, it's really the thing that causes this sort of multidimensional distress across different areas that are inside, psychological, physiological, but also areas in our personal life. Feeling disconnected from our loved ones, feeling disconnected from the things you love to do, the things that bring you joy, your creativity. And so that all those things happening at the same time feels very overwhelming to my patients. And that's when they come to therapy. And that's what
Okay.
I write about.
All right. So, okay. So let's start with the person that is there.
Yes,
Okay. What clearly you can't do is pull the rug out from under them because it's like their family saying, just stop. And you're going, if I stop, I'm going to fall off a cliff. So,
absolutely.
so it's, it's, I mean, there is a little bit of, uh, I have to work through this. How do you work them through that so that
Mhm.
it is not a cliff
That's
or they
right.
don't have withdrawal?
Absolutely. You totally get it. You totally get this. So typically these individuals come to therapy when they start feeling anxiety. They can't sleep at night. They wake up at 3 in the morning thinking about the business sale that they didn't get or the promotion or whatever that would be, or the critical email or anything, any feedback, any moment at work becomes this sort of threat to who they are. So they come to me because they're highly activated and very anxious. And and that's when I think that they start sort of breaking a little bit. They start feeling like, my God, I'm falling apart. Am I going to lose my job? Am I going to lose my edge? Are people going to notice I'm not confident? So their confidence level starts decreasing. They're not thinking too straight because they're very reactive. And so that's when I see them come in. What I hope people can get from this book is that they don't get to that place where they're burning out, where they're getting anxiety, where they're leaving their jobs. A lot of them want to change jobs when really what's going on is this psychological thing inside. So the idea for your listeners is to just simply ask themselves, do any of these things that I'm talking about, these what I call domains or symptoms, do I have some of that? So do I have a really hard time stopping what I'm doing? Is it hard for me to disconnect from work? Does something like a setback at work or in my business or a bad sales quarter, does it make me feel like it's something that I am the failure, right? Am I taking it too personal? Those are very first warning signs, right? Like, can I detach from work and go on vacation and fully be present somewhere else? Those are the warning signs. And I am telling you this, I've been doing this for so many years. If you don't ask yourself those questions, if you don't do that mini assessment, things can start unraveling. Hence the name of the book. They start unraveling. I've had patients that come to me and said, "Oh my God, my wife just served me divorce papers. I had no idea she was unhappy." Of course, you had no idea. You were not paying attention. You were not present because everything in their lives revolves around work. Because at work is where they feel safe, they feel validated, they feel worthy. In many ways, this book is about worthiness, people seeking worthiness through the work they do.
Okay, so let's say somebody is at that point.
Yes.
What are you telling them? How are you helping them through it?
Yes. So if they come to therapy versus someone that's not there yet, someone that comes to therapy, a lot of the work that needs to be done, number one, is to help them sort of regulate all of that stuff that's happening. So I do an assessment, and I'm talking about therapy stuff, but I do an assessment to make sure that I understand what's truly going on. Is this anxiety? If it's anxiety, do we need to treat that anxiety? But at the core, if we treat just the anxiety, we're treating just the symptom. We really have to treat that psychological relationship that people have with work, helping them through that, helping them sort of see themselves that they're more than just work. And that is not easy work. That's deep work. And a lot of people do not want to do this work. So that's the first thing. If you're not there yet, you can read the book and kind of go through. I have 10 practices, which is really a constellation of the different interventions that I use in my private practice to help these individuals. Because as you can see, Tom, there's like different layers to this. This
Sure.
is not just burnout. Like you're tired, go take a vacation. This is like deep stuff. This comes from conditioned experiences growing up, oftentimes. These are individuals that had parents that gave them love and attention and conditional regard when they were achieving, or they had the A's, or they were good kids, or they served a purpose. So sometimes we have to sort of like look at the roots of this. And then help them also regulate themselves, calm their minds, help them regulate their emotions, and also help them reconnect to who they truly are inside. So this is deep work that through the book, you can kind of get a glimpse of it. But the reality is, if someone is really there and they're really having a hard time sleeping, body problems, relationship issues, I think for those individuals, I highly advise them to see a therapist if they are able to do that.
So let's talk about the person that's not there. I mean, entrepreneurs are probably in this category as much as anybody because we've started our business.
Absolutely.
A lot of times customers identify the business with us.
Absolutely.
Certainly, I mean, it's very hard not to be identified with the business. And you
Hmm.
actually have to work hard. And I actually work with people on don't use your name in the business.
Yeah.
Don't make the business about you because, there's financial reasons not to do that too.
Right.
But so how do you, you're talking, let's say you're talking to an entrepreneur and they like, okay, this is the business and they built their business. They're ready to sell their business. Their biggest
Oh,
concern is what's next because that is a cliff. So
yes.
and especially if they're, if they're very caught up in their business is part of who they are, then
Yes.
what do you tell these people?
Yeah. I love working with entrepreneurs. By the way, I have been an entrepreneur all my life, so I totally get it. I mean, this book came from not just the work that I did with my patients, but also my own experience as someone who's always been a high achiever, going for the next thing and doing the next thing and having different businesses. This is why I was able to recognize this more fully. So I understand it. But when it comes to entrepreneurship and being the business owner, it's almost like a double whammy because the business is truly your baby. It's like it's your thing.
Right?
You create it. This is not, you have no one else to blame. You don't have a boss to blame. You don't have a company to blame. It's you. Like the failures feel like it's you failing. And so it is a real experience. It is very hard to detach from that. But so what do you do with that? Number one, again, it's really like I know you talk about investing in taxes and all that. It's about not investing all your eggs of like self-worthiness and who you are in life and satisfaction and meaning, all of it in your business. That is the biggest failure. I think that a lot of entrepreneurs put everything into their business and they don't diversify life. They're constantly only on with work and their business. And so obviously anything that happens in your business is a huge threat to who they are. I remember working with a business owner who sold his company and they had him stay for a year just as someone who knew what was happening already. And this guy had the hardest time of his life letting go and understanding he was no longer that CEO. He was no longer the guy sort of like making the decisions. And that right there just proves to you how attached we are to who we are. And he had a really, really hard time figuring out who am I? And so that the process to that is really helping them expand how they see themselves, that they're more than just this business that may or may not have failed. And that takes a lot of work. It's not easy work. That's why no one wants to do it. No one wants to talk about it either.
Yeah, it's hard for sure. It's hard for sure. Can I go to the other side of it? Because
Absolutely.
there's also the flip side of it with people that lose ambition
Hmm.
and they don't have that ambition anymore. And that, of
Hmm.
course, that happens with entrepreneurs when they sell their business. Sometimes it's their loss.
Absolutely. Hmm.
So what do those people do?
Yeah. So, sometimes when I see that someone has lost ambition that used to have a lot of ambition, I wonder if they're burned out to begin with, number one. I also wonder if there's some sort of depression going on as well. Are they so depleted that they're just kind of just depressed? They've sort of lost their way. And the idea is to rekindle helping them rekindle that thing or those things or those activities or projects that will help them sort of get re-energized and excited about something else. We all need to be excited about something because life can get really boring. And so we do need to feel productive. It's one of the things that makes us feel truly happy, right?
Right?
And so helping those individuals figure out what else is in your life that you can really sort of like lean into and do more of that in a sustainable way so that you can get back and feel energized. But yeah, I normally see that when people are feeling dysthymic or depressed or truly burned out. And sometimes it's just a matter of really assessing the whole picture. The difficulties of doing this work as a therapist is that a lot of mental health providers are not trained to understand what career health is all about, like all the
Mhm.
things that happen at work
Sure.
and how they intertwine with mental health. And so my work is very comprehensive. I actually do a career health assessment, and I looked at the mental health and I looked at personal life, and I even looked at their physical health. There's so much that can contribute to how we feel about work and how we show up at work. And so my goal with this conversation is for people to really think about work as just one part of their lives and how much are they investing in that and how much is it costing them in their lives across different areas of their lives, not just who they are, but also their relationships, the things they do outside of work, the way they're contributing to society, right? There's so many ways and layers that we can be present and fulfilled in life, not just work.
So how do we actually, I mean, you talk about, I wrote down diversifying your life.
Say it
Okay.
again?
You use the term diversify your life.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
So, okay, you're an entrepreneur that the way you got successful was by focus, not
Yes.
diverse, not you, if you diversify, you're going to lose. Okay. In business, you lose when you diversify. You win when you focus. Okay. That's a general principle that always happens. Okay. So you've been focused for a long time. How does how does somebody go about then, okay, I'm going to start to diversify, because they diversify too fast, they're going to fall off that cliff.
Yeah. So this is interesting. I think that when you say that they're not going to win, you have a specific definition of what win means. And that's the point here, right? Like one of the pillars in the book is like redefining success, right? Like when you say win, well, that's a win according to your definition of success, right? And so,
I'm sorry, but a business wins or loses. Okay, there is no, if a business isn't winning, it is actually losing, and it will lose ground, and it will if it eventually be done. I mean,
yeah,
that is the reality of the capitalist world. Okay, so I'm just talking about the business side of winning. I'm not talking about the
I hear you.
person side of winning. I'm
I
talking about
hear
the
you.
business side of winning. If the way that entrepreneur gets to a successful business is by focus. Okay.
Yes.
It is by that intense focus. So now you're saying, okay, you got to that place with that intense focus. Now we're actually going to pull you off of it, right? Let's say that's where they are. We're going to pull you off of it, but we don't want to pull you off it too fast, because we don't want you going, we don't want you collapsing. Okay. We don't want your business collapsing. So what are those steps that you give people, entrepreneurs, to, again, diversify their focus?
Yeah. So this is the thing. When we talk about focus, we're also talking about time, right? So
Mhm.
we're not saying you don't have to be focused 24 hours, 7 days a week, right?
Fair,
Right? Do you agree with
fair.
me, right? So the idea
I
is
do
like,
agree with that.
yeah, like if you have 10 minutes, if you have 15 minutes, talk to your spouse or your partner, spend time with your kids, go call your friend who you haven't called in 10 years, right? Maybe go and do something in your community once a month. That's what diversity means. It doesn't
Got
mean
it.
stop doing what you do 100%. And also, there are ways that you can actually be focused at work and do more outside by bringing in the right team, being a good delegator. You know this, right?
Yep, for
So there's
sure.
many ways. Like you hire the right team,
Sure.
you set up the right system in your company, you have the right processes, you get a great team that can actually do good work so that you, as the leader and owner, can actually do other things outside so that you're not the only person, the point person who's there 24/7. The problem is when you are there 24/7. Yes, I agree with you.
Right.
People, you have to focus to win, right? Like businesses fail or succeed and win. But even that, I think even that success could also be different, a different definition for different people. There's some
For
people that
sure.
have a smaller company versus a medium-sized company, right? And so the idea is again, is not redefining success, but redefining what it means for you, like what kind of business you want to run in your life. That's a really important question that I help a lot of my
Good
patients
point.
figure out. Like, right? Some people don't want to have that $100 million company. They don't want the headache.
Okay, so you're talking to a business owner, your typical entrepreneur that's pretty focused, pretty ambitious, and you want them, and they do want to do the work, and they want to say, okay, what are two or three steps that I need to take in order to, and I'm going to go back to diversify your life because I
Absolutely.
really like that term. I think it's a really good
Good.
term.
Good. Glad.
What are two or three steps that you're going to have them do to get started on this?
Yeah, sure. The very first thing I do, which is normally what therapists also do, is for people to become aware. I think a lot of people who are high performers and high achievers, they're always here, over here. They never
Right.
sit, they're in the head all the time, and they just don't take the time to pause and take a look. So the first is to sort of like take inventory, like what's happening? Why am I responding this way? Why am I always thinking about work? Why is my wife not happy? Why are my kids not talking to me anymore? Right? Like, how come I didn't get invited to my brother's wedding? Like, just see what's happening. Take stock, take inventory. It was, what is the cost of this success in this business that you have in your life, right? But most importantly, what is it happening? What is it doing to you psychologically, physiologically? Are you getting sicker? Are you like not wanting to go to work some days? Are you having a hard time sleeping? Are you like just check in? Like it's a checkup for yourself. So that's the first thing. And then number two, I help them understand like where are these patterns coming from? Sometimes we do need to dig in so that people can have a little bit more control over why these behaviors are happening. What got you there? And sometimes people don't want to look back, but sometimes we do need to look back so that we can have a better hold of those patterns because that's the way to do it. The second way that I do that, the second way I work with these individuals is to help them regulate, to help them calm themselves down so that they can be more grounded at work, so they can have make better decisions. So we do work around emotional regulation. We do work around cognitive restructuring of how they see themselves in the company, in the business, helping them detach cognitively from it, and also helping them be more aware of their bodies, like go for walks, move more, go to the gym, right? All those things make a huge difference. And then also reconnecting to the people that really matter. We are wired to be connected to people. Okay? That's just how we are born. And so having those connections, those deep, satisfying connections with people who are important in our lives is very, very crucial. I will tell you this, there's so many of these individuals that haven't had sex with their wives or their husbands for years. That's how
Wow.
disconnected they are. There's such a lack of intimacy. There's a feeling of isolation and loneliness. And the more they get lonely, guess what happens? The more they go to work. The
Sure.
more you want to go there because
Sure.
that's how you
It's
feel
an
that
escape.
validation.
It's
Absolutely.
absolutely an escape. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And these are the people that eventually retire or sell their business and they end up feeling like, oh my God, where is everybody? Where's my life?
Right.
And they get the heart attack, right? They're the ones that get that heart attack or they get cancer. So this is something that is I'm so passionate about this. Like I really, it is a crisis because I've seen it. I've had hundreds and hundreds of patients. I've been there myself. I was sick for years with all of this, physically speaking. And I just really want to sound the alarm. Like I know success is beautiful. I know running a business is wonderful, but sometimes we need to pause and understand that we are also human, and that matters.
I like it. Thank you very much.
You're
Our
welcome.
guest has been Dr. Angelica Perez-Litwin, and her book is The Great Unraveling. And Angelica, where could we find more outside of the book? Where could we find more about what you're doing in your work?
Sure. So if anyone wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, I write a lot on LinkedIn, Angelica Perez-Litwin. I also have a website, angelicaperezlitwin.com. And they can also follow me on a Substack newsletter that I have as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And
Thank you for having me.
we talk on the Wealthability Show a lot about money and finance, and we talk about business. And once in a while, we really do need to talk about the why behind it, and
Yes.
what are we doing, and why are we doing it, and and make sure that we do stay healthy, because that is what makes us successful ultimately. When we are, and I love this, when our life is a little more diversified, then I think you're right. I think we'll make way more money, and
I agree.
and in the end, if we're making more money the right way, we're going to pay less tax at the same time.
Oh, I love it. Yes. Yes, 100%.
We'll see y'all next time on the Wealthability Show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Wealthability Show. If today's episode gave you a new perspective, remember this: the tax law is not your enemy. It's a roadmap. And when you know how to follow it, you can build real, lasting wealth. If you're a business owner or investor who's tired of overpaying taxes, the Wealthability Accelerator is your next step. You'll have the opportunity to work directly with me for 80% less than my standard rate. And I'll personally guide you through how to change your facts so that you can change your tax. Go to wealthability.com/bonus and apply today. Remember, it's not just what you make, it's what you keep.
This podcast is a presentation of Rich Dad Media Network.